Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Believe With Me. So the episode starts off with Mr. Anansi, and it's a really powerful opening to the episode as well as an introduction to Mr. Anansi. We get to see him being called by the slaves who are being transported to America, not knowing what the fuck is going on. And then Mr. Anansi pretty much cruel about the breakdown. He does not sugarcoat it at all, especially not in his fancy plaid suit. And that's another thing. He's going to be wearing some great suits throughout the episodes, apparently, which I can't wait for. He basically tells the slaves on the ship that life is going to suck for them in America, and it's not even just being a slave. It's the fact that even in hundreds of years to come, black people are not going to be treated well in America at all. In an interesting choice, the show decided to bring up the fact that Mr. Anansi knows that black men are going to be shot at by cops. They're going to be fighting for justice all the time. It was, like I said, it was an extremely powerful speech, and one of the quotes that really kind of got to me was, "Angry is good. Angry gets shit done." So in this case, Mr. Anansi kind of incites the slaves on the ship to pretty much burn it down. And that's what they do. But obviously, history's still not going to treat black people well in America. So I think one important thing to also point out about Mr. Anansi is that in the books, he's extremely loyal to Mr. Wednesday. And I think you can understand why. They sort of have that same characteristic of not bullshitting. They're just going to tell you the straight up truth about what's going on, and they still respect the people that worship them and the people from their home country. So it's understandable as to why they kind of want to fight in this war against the new gods. Shadow goes back to the hotel where Mr. Wednesday is, and it's interestingly called the American Hotel. Mr. Wednesday basically tells Shadow that he takes great offense to what happened to Shadow as well, and he is planning on doing something to Technical Boy for basically trying to kill Shadow. So Shadow finally takes off his wedding ring, and it's a hard thing for him. As you can see, he's going through all the motions. That night he gets woken up. Well, he thinks he gets woken up. It's a dream that his wife comes into the hotel room, and he's confused. And he's like, "Everyone told me that you died." And then Laura tells him, "Oh, who told you I died, puppy?" I told you, puppy's gonna come up a lot. Wakes up, and Laura's not there, so he cries himself to sleep, which is very sad to see for Shadow. The situation's not helped the next day when he goes to his home to pack everything up, and then he also finally goes through the box of Laura's belongings from the car accident. In it, he sees her cell phone and the sex messages between her and Robbie, and Robbie's dick. Ugh. Of course, Mr. Wednesday knows all and basically tells them after the house is packed up and they're ready to go on their trip, "Get over it. I don't want you thinking about this on our journey through America. You're working for me now. Done." Shadow and Mr. Wednesday make a pit stop, and Mr. Wednesday ends up having a meeting with the Djinn, which we only get to see him briefly. He sends Shadow shopping to pick up gifts for who they're gonna stop to next to recruit for the war. Shadow is shopping for the weird list of items: romance novels, vodka, maps, I forget what, oh, cigarettes, other things. He passes through the TV section, and we meet Media, who I think everyone was pretty excited for because she is played by the wonderful Gillian Anderson, who we all know from X-Files. Media makes her appearance to Shadow as Lucille Ball in I Love Lucy. And it's definitely fun. I mean, it takes right from the book, sort of. And Shadow's thrown off, and he's looking all around because he's like, wait, no one else can see that Lucy is talking to me? Media obviously is going to take a different approach than Technical Boy, since beating someone to a bloody pulp and hanging them up by a noose doesn't work. Media ends up trying to compliment Shadow and telling him how she respects him and the job that he's doing and how he's, a powerful man, which, most men like to hear, but Shadow is just kind of not buying this. She's a seductress, type of god characteristic. As she says, worship for her is time and attention from people. It's better than lamb's blood, which I guess is good. She offers Shadow a job, and he once again turns it down. He does not like these new gods, and he doesn't understand how they're able to do everything they're doing, because if you realize, the old gods are more coy about their powers and what they can do, whereas the new gods are definitely flashy about it. They want everyone to know. Shadow goes back to the diner and pretty much tells Mr. Wednesday that he thinks he's going crazy between Technical Boy and Media and Laura. He doesn't understand why the universe has chosen him to go through all of this. And Mr. Wednesday kind of says something that I think everyone wants to hear. Would you rather be ignored? I mean, everyone wants the world to pay attention to them. Even if they pretty much try to be a loner, there's still that, please pay attention to me, someone reach out and care. In Shadow's case, it's a bunch of gods trying to win him over to help them win a war. So not the same attention, but kind of there. We get to see Bilquis again, and she's swallowing more people through her vagina, but we also get to see that they end up in a euphoric spot in the universe, which is good, I guess. And then we also get to see her not getting worshipped, where she actually goes to, I guess that's not the right words, but she goes to a museum to see a statue that was dedicated to her from who knows how long ago. I'm not even going to try to guess. And then that museum also has, I guess, body jewelry that her god would have worn. And you see that, like, wistful longing in her face. So I feel like it's not going to be hard for her to join Mr. Wednesday's war. Mr. Wednesday and Shadow go to Chicago to recruit Zernobog, and who also resides with the Zarias sisters. I am sorry if I'm saying that wrong. I'm trying my best. The main focus here is Zernobog, who Mr. Wednesday kind of wants because he's, in a way, a god of death. He likes to kill with his hammer. It's in one scene, you just see it dripping with blood. And it freaks Shadow out, which I think it would any normal person. And Zernobog lives with the Zarias sisters, who are basically the guardians of the stars. There's 3 sisters, and I'm not even going to try to remember their names. They have to pretty much sleep in shifts. One covers the morning, one covers the evening, and one covers the nighttime. We only see 2 of the sisters because it's daytime. It's not time for the 3rd sister to be up. But Shadow, of course, wonders if she's just sick and stuck in bed. And he shows his caring side. He gives a shit about people, even if old gods. It's important to note that Zernobog is not Thor. I know a lot of people like to kind of associate him with the Thor because of the hammer, but not the same. They share roots in mythology, but Zernobog is Slavic, as well as the Zariah sisters. Thor is obviously Norse. The Zariah sisters invite Mr. Wednesday and Shadow to stay, have dinner, but they definitely warn them that Zernabog's not going to take too kindly to their visit. And they're right. He throws a lamp at Mr. Wednesday, and he doesn't want to be dragged back into this mess again, which Shadow has no idea about. He's kind of being left off of information. Mr. Wednesday and Shadow stay for dinner and drinks and everything, and the Zariahs are basically straight up about, it's not going to be a great meal. You're going to get what you get, but we do the best that we can, which I think is very reminiscent of immigrants coming to America and doing the best that they can, which is why they probably looked up to these gods while they were here and getting acclimated to the country. Anyway, Mr. Wednesday tries to get Zernabog on his side and goes, oh, come on, it's going to be a glorious battle, win or lose. Like, you're going to love it. You like smashing things, smashing their brains in with your hammer. Like, why do you not want to join my war? This doesn't work, but Mr. Wednesday knows that, hence why he's got Shadow there. Shadow basically takes on the accomplice role. He ends up playing a game of checkers because, you know, he got pretty good at it in prison with Zernabog. And they end up in the middle of the game saying, well, here's the deal. If Zernabog wins, Shadow has to kneel and Zernabog can smash his head in with the hammer. Not a good thing. But if Shadow wins, Zernabog has to join Mr. Wednesday's battle. Mr. Wednesday kind of tells Shadow, like, you don't have to do this. And Shadow's like, how badly do you need him? I'll do it. I'll do it for you. Zernabog ends up winning the game. And Shadow just has this oh shit face. Like, I'm gonna get my brains bashed in the morning. Ugh. And then to the cherry on top of losing is Zernabog tells him, that's a shame. You're my only black friend. But obviously Shadow's gonna be okay because a second season of American Gods has been announced. And we wouldn't have a show without Shadow. So don't worry. You'll see next week he's gonna be fine. Once again, I hope you join me next week for the following American Gods episode. And you can follow me on the socials. Personal Twitter's @StoryInTheEnd. You can also follow allgeek2me.net on Twitter, or just go to the website allgeek2me.net. Bye!